However, it became this in the false charge of Okada is clear. So Naruto, on the one hand, also new questions arise, or offer a poison duel, by adding a brush to Shizuko's photos, or the horrible corpse photos to location souvenir. Also examples Atelier Michihiko Okada or made the carcasses of plaster images to his, like, the naive innocence of youth, that of that place, leap of psychological and which has been suicide. I look very unnatural, if you can be clear on this point. Mystery at that time what? No lips monster I think that it would be coming melt nature. Quote, in strange Kumodera of the cemetery. It was leaked to the S magistrate and Sunikawa police inspector. This word of Akechi is, the time has come to hit I think that soon I see. That aside, the next day, this time Bran Hode Adakara from Kai Atelier of Yoyogi, the temple of the cemetery that West Myoji-Evo village. Excavation was carried out subsequently. What kind of relationship? The O village there are still habits of old-fashioned burial. Every time there is a homui, the wide cemetery of the West Myoji, of fresh old-fashioned, domanju was built. Akechi that Kikakon that the is. When viewed examined travel to West Myoji, elderly, nor the time of burial, just corresponds to the atelier of the three daughters of example. Found that there was a young woman dead it should be noted that when exploring Go, in the story of the sexton, soon to bury the daughter us, the graveyard late at night, I saw wandering around the dubious empty, even came to know the fact that, looking at the state of the cemetery, there was a somewhat bizarre point, that there is no runaway daughter, which corresponds to his three people also, of the cemetery excavation of today, has become a serious reason. Well, of excavation, or the results were similar. Speaking early Ted, I imagine of Akechi was hit. 3 of the coffin, which aim is, it was found to be completely empty. Unpleasant, unexpected little hit is to say empty. In a coffin, but there was no dead body. Though strange had entered in its place. Oh yet has fallen strange piece of paper. One of the laborers from the bottom of the coffin, picking up it passed to Sunikawa Mr. It is written somehow, a letter is. The letter in the coffin would be one was addressed to anyone on earth. Kogoro Akechi, yeah, his police inspector made a Tonkyo cry. Mr. Akechi, this has become to you the address. Akechi is received looking at reading, the wording was something like the left. Yukoguro Akechi, this notice the cemetery, which exposed the coffin, will probably be you, but, you were a little too late while indeed regrettable. The other all he was finished. From this coffin, the person who stole the corpses, it already has reached his last purpose. You are, finally uncovered the coffin, but, what it means, how will you know? As a person, I had been properly established the program. Only when the Akechi Kogoro has uncovered the coffin, it's his last moment. You are. He already was given a sentence of death. Any defense, hostile even, for the person, but know that it is a completely helpless good, or whether, I that receives a guy of threatening letters. Which of the third time in? What was that Ushibaiji? Akechi is throw away round the piece of paper, was bitter smile. The magic of the room. Work of nasty cemetery excavation. Until the paragraph. The people of the court was carried out raised with Sasa. In order to investigate the competent police line also poor daughters of the family. It went divided, was left to rest is. And Sunikawa police inspector of the Metropolitan Police Department. Is Kogoro Akechi. I somehow, such as our tumor bearing to you guys, is a strange feeling. Inspector is toward the temple gate, he went while walking hang out. What are you guys? Akechi is by way of example, it is smiling, smilingly. And you is to a man with no lips. Sunikawa Mr. also, laughing grinning. Ha 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 ha, you is what the out good. The combined mind with you and that pirates. Are fan on the us. I feel is like that. Your imagination is. than like those of the center too. And pirates as God. The past the above predicted that the cemetery is excavated. Nanti leave the letter addressed to you into the coffin of Sir Rampo. A thief and you are? Yeah, unless the heir also in the pre-meeting. Impossible is that such. The inspector or a joke are seriously, in a tone which is not tired of the decision, saying such a thing, looked at the face of a grinning Akechi. Ha 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 ha, it's funny. Nanti man without me and lips guru. And go with the style of penmanship of LeBlanc novels. I worked as the one-person double role. It becomes the amateur detective when there is, and the monster sometime, with no lips garbled. The illusion is also holds face that you're doing a one-man show. Ha 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 ha. Sunikawa Mr. also began laughing at last aloud. Speaking of novel, this crime is a very novel manner. We tome Chito week. The characters also, as beginning a monster with no lips. Toka's painter, Toka novelist, non-practical guys just like, it is it, always good criminals a novelist for example. Even in the single item of the letter in the now of the coffin. I bear witness that this time the culprit is a great novelist first. The opponent of the detective Nanti writing a threatening letter. I is not a gesture never do a practical man. When I received the first round of the threatening letters, because that took a look at the character of the offender. In the mood, here also become a novel manner. We were seen exercising reasoning, listening bit, in how Mr. struck in badly sensitive Sunikawa. Oh, you is a detective born. Now the talk is a cheat sheet of detective surgery. You were a detective, the same mood as the culprit. If the offender is a scholar, the scholar of degree also the same detective. Criminal artists once, detective also to artists. Politicians if politicians, is not a force of about as possible will have, not something that could be a real mystery. However, now the criminal us, that one person, such I think there is a person. I something also, just by many years of experience, only to work, and a little quirky crime, is the plight of the hand also not come out even foot as of now. Quote, if it expressed the sincere respect, ha 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 ha, my fluke, should not be so much praised up. Akechi was innocently speaking blushed cheeks. But, you, afraid you do not have either. Not Otakashi of Gai Hatada of. Also the Fumio's Medana will always showed by running the threatening letters of complaint. No, we now have to alert is. Sunikawa Mr. says Rashiku anxiety. No, it has to be pre-prepared you or me. Now the other, Anna Hema is the estimate which is not done. By the way, if you permissible, from now on, to field Yanagia, or does not answer, maybe because you'll have this Matani-kun. Not the let's listen to the subsequent appearance. Oh, Ivan now is the place that was thinking about it. So two people, a car that was placed waiting in Monzon, were run to Tokyo of the field Yanagia, and it landed on the iron door Ikameshi Monzon example, was recently hour and minute to the other sunset. My husband and death in jail, and his wife and a posthumous child and subsequently is the missing to become the field Yanagia. Was the silence like a vacant house. When the Akechi and Sunikawa inspector visits have together come just Matani youth. I was guided to the drawing room. This house, but he is supposed to be the people of relatives to management. Only those who do not know them in Asamako, the hired people to the other party. Because what cannot be. In this way I have sometimes Mimoa, it is the translation. Quote, Mitani when cryptic little excuse. By the way, from the Hataki and Agi wife, you do not have any news or... Inspector is look and ask for the time being. There is not, only towards me, I've wanted to hear it your police searches wills going on. Even in the police, not yet even take a hand. Is what ran away really well. Very, not considered a frail woman of wisdom. The inspector looked staring the face of Mitani. I also surprised. Everyone that people are, I do not even what I saw a place that leave this house. Mitani, while leave to escape on their own, show implausibly surprised. Does this mansion is, I think like a box of magic of magician. Guy that box of magician has seen little is. But there is no gimmick. To those of the road, where there is what karakuri, it has been found properly. Quote, Akechi began to say that the sudden strange. Then you are, in this building, or something that there is a secret trick. Sunikawa Mr. Askish dubious. I referred to as the otherwise man of the corpse lost claiming to Shoichi Edogawa. Called the mysterious escape of Shizuko's. Not no way of interpretation. But, in the police, the folding of the stream of incidents. From the corner of the premises to the corner. An inch also a masa not the raised base test put the sense to just in case. Now, it might be it was better base inspection of the amateur. The secret of the magician is something which is not know if it is not still magician. And I say, somehow, you'd guess you will hear in the wind, such as the secret is known. Sunikawa said, while frightened to premonition, but did not have his nakikakesa. Yes, to a certain extent, Akechi answers not change even tone a little. So why, for I was silent it until now. Such a serious thing. The inspector become involuntarily vigorous tone. No, I was waiting for the time. Paraphrastic is talking to him. I because just to guard against opponent to retirement. Well, do you say in that time it will come together when? This is today. Now is the time. Akechi is this serious matter. After all the time has come to capture the man no and are increasingly lips said. Laughing smile. The time has come to reveal the guy of identity. Sunikawa's, in fact, was to invite you to hear. Because I wanted to put on your eyes the secrets of the magician. Fortunately, to come also Matani's, is convenient. Over the next 3 people. The magic box trick it does not try to the experience to do. Quote, I think also the words of the amateur detective. Not over. Sunikawa Mr. Nor Matani young man, taken aback, but polite, not can also reply, to, first of all, was killed with Shoichi Edogawa. Let's convey the second floor of the study. As someday also said, the key to solve this time of the incident. I had been hidden in the room of that magic. Before long, the 3 people of the magic of the problem room, of Latefield Willow Mr. Western style study, stood in front of the Buddha statue group. To there, this thing is what the one of the student is. There is also a higher stature of the people. It came in a big straw doll Teidaku. You, I was what? Or bringing not it a strange thing. Looking at it, I scolded the student. Matani is surprised. No, I'm good. It's I had asked. Please fart here. Akechi has received the student Kariwara doll. Actually this doll. I serve the actors of today you play, he said. Began to refer to again strange things. Your play is me. Sunikawa Mr. also Matani, youth also. In the words of unexpected Akechi, had been taken aback. This study is, whether the why at the heart of this time of the incident. Here there is a trick gimmick of any magician. It will be described in the mouth. It's just you are a little complicated. Explained. A little incredibly. You bizarre 10 million facts. So, was conceived as the replay of the crime. I mean that your eyes over like in the form. But did not pre-talk. Today the take you Sunikawa's here is for. Is to me. Was the order of the schedule. In the order. Then you yes and also properly stage of preparing. Also those of the actor. Is a translation that was allowed made to such a straw doll. Sunikawa said. Again, for the Akechi, and I think that what is Awasa and up, was sick. These play sightseeing was not a very happy role. In the haunts or 2 of you. You were an actor. Might be unhappy, Akechi laughing smile but, Mr. Sunikawa's, representatives of the Nari Police Nari Court. Because Mr. Matani is mean that representatives of the field Yanagiya. If await the sights to the 2 of you. Such a convenient thing is not. Is to many the number of spectators if. to the bizarre drama of much trouble. Because you worry about weirdness does not come out. Quote, Akechi is jokingly, while explaining, from the wall in a row of Buddha problems. Side-by-side chair the tripod to the corner of the farthest room. Now please call here. This is the haunt seat of today's your play. When invited refers to two people. The Sunikawa Mr. Mitani youth. Because the opponent is the other party. Without going to get angry mean. Was attached to the seat remains to be said. By the way, the first act is the scene of Shoichi Edogawa murder in first stage and an inch at that time. Must be nestled unexpected as it differs. Akechi began the introductory remarks of magic tricks. Furniture in the room and at that time. Does not descend to hen also a little. Trivial unexpected things. Was killed as Shoichi Edogawa. So we let serve the role of Edogawa in Konawara doll. He is holding a straw doll stood at the entrance. Edogawa was sneaked from the door. Sneaked the door put the key from the inside. Akechi is by far the key that had been pointing to the outside of the keyhole. Was down the lock from the inside. Then, standing in front of the Buddha, I started to do everything. He is the straw doll was leaning against one of the Buddha statues. The window is only this one is. If you are out of latches. Had been after are all strictly tightening is possible. Good while. So as not to differ window also at that time also a little. Was Shimakiri. And he also sat down in a chair alongside to see the sights of two people. Now, everything is the same as at that time. Edogawa the heck, who is, or was killed why, you put your eye to the future demonstration. Outside the window was imminent dark evening. The large premise is nothing of sounds. Creepy a few minutes has elapsed. Who be considered, pirates do not think only that it crept through the window. Outside in the passage is because no. Sunikawa Mr. stared out the window of jitter and latch. When suddenly, and I think that was the sound that Basa, straw doll fell ran smack into my. It's there. To Joshing of Akechi, looking at the chest of the doll. It came flying from anywhere, to the core of the dagger of Ichitai straw are they not Sasaku sorry and but. Evening is in the dark of the forthcoming room, as it was closed in like a deep fog. But the figure of things seemed to boya include, but, or pierced the midst of the chest. Straw doll that fall down. It has been considered also as strange organisms. Was more eerie. Even so, dagger would have came flying from somewhere together. Also window doors. Into the room with me perfect deadline. And suddenly, the main defunct weapon began springing up. It is magic, but, the magician, but where are? I Sunikawa inspector involuntarily standing above, and ran over to the latch-free window of example. Except for the outside open it. Someone because you feel like hiding in there. Mitani also to follow it. From the back of the police inspector. Fearfully, I look down the dim garden. But, even in the bellows of the outside of the window, also the bottom of the garden, there is no shadow of a person. Ha 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 ha, Mr. Sunikawa. From the outside of the glass windows Shimakiri. Glass is also not straw. Nandy throw a dagger. That much magician. Is a consultation that cannot be. To the laughter of Akechi. Is Sunikawa Mr. left the window with a wry smile. And, this time, with estimates to revise the dagger. But close to the straw doll. And I think was walking 23 step. He did not have not stopped standing as a hash. I wonder not or dreaming, or whether just now was a hallucination. Wonder, and closer view. In the chest of the straw doll. I do not have anything. Dagger it had vanished. Sunikawa Mr. Mimawashi hidden restlessly. Where unexpected Kentora what seems dagger also. Suddenly telling the eyes it is dubious Buddha both blind. He approached it, one by one. Were seen carefully stroking turn. But, it seems there is no mechanism in the Buddha. No way. Buddha is waving his arms. My there is always through a dagger. Hands or wood carving irrefutable also foot. If not, Ikanabutsu of the lotus position. So what I thought was a hallucination. For the room is dim. Just that the fallen of straw dolls. In paranoia, as dagger is stuck. Or was probably mistaken. The remainder of wonder. Inspector is squatted down on top of the straw doll. The hit of the chest was keenly watched. I'm still going. Improbability is cut in straws just an inch, shows the after stuck the dagger. More, please. Well, see. Akechi places a voice from buckwheat. Well, beholden is the what the hell. When looking at blurred the wound of the straw doll suspicious. Those black something has come to oozing from the wound. The black ones spread the scorchingest charring of the paper. It's all blood. Quote, not black one in, it poisonous crimson color. For evening darkness, it seemed black. Straw doll's been stabbed in the chest, it is flowing bright red blood. Sunikawa said. The touch the wound finger. Bring to the front of the eye. Viewed watermark in the light of the window. Sure enough, it marked with Vettori blood in the finger. Lol. Hey, is not anything. Just a little. In order to Rishiku true your play. To the chest of the straw doll. A bag of rubber containing the red ink. We had been concealed. However, in this, that Shoichi Edogawa of the straw doll was stabbed in the chest. It will become clearly you understand. Quote, Akechi has explained with a laugh. Then after all, that dagger was not a hallucination. Kyoki is? Dagger? Sunikawa mister, went out to involuntarily mouth. Still. Or it does not become you can see. I make the exposure of a trick to now. By the way, Saito elderly or student who is. State when you have found the corpse of Shoichi Edogawa. Was just this street. Creek. Thus I was lying bleeding from the chest. Kyoki. Of course. It was not found anywhere. Quote. Akechi as the description will be continued. Criminal also not show up. I have vanished even Kyoki. However, Shoichi Edogawa had fallen bleeding from the chest. The doll also been done the same breast. Has fallen. Expired straw. The rubber of the red ink has been broken. Is above all of the evidence. Doll I was killed. But, to whom? Why? Even to you people who have witnessed currently. Clearly we do not know. At that time. Also the Saito old man who is wanted wonder in that way. But it is not impossible. Quote, even within such. The room went dark visibly. One by one of the straw doll. But enough unexpected is to tell anymore. Dark Buddha it is. And the Zarian after a scorching. Looked whether we merges into the wall. It's strange. Somehow such feel you are dreaming. Mitani is, for some reason, went strangely in a loud voice. Akechi also Sunikawa Mr. also. Because the voice was too high, but was looking at the face of Mitani was surprised. Or are you the kind of facial expression? Hide encoding as dusk. Clearly did not appear. Let's put the electric lamp. With this as dark, what is not palm understand somehow. While Inspector Murmur walked toward the switch. No, please do not put the electric lamp. A while. In this state, please be patient. The real magic is. I now begin. That's a convenient person to keep dim the stages to it. Akechi is hold back the Mr. Sunikawa. So, again, please regard your seat, now, because finally you put your eyes uncovered the secret of Edogawa killed. Two of the onlookers for the Akechi has been pushed back to the original chair. Now, Saito old man who, when you discover the corpse of the brook, was news to the police surprised. Then, police officers to come. Everyone like, not touch the corpse. Put the latch on the window. The door is outside over the key from. Everyone I walked out of this room. Quote, Akechi while nice. The street. Close the window again before the inspector is open. Multiplied by the latch. The door. But the interference is made on the probability meta. And pulled out the keyhole of the key. Was placed in a pocket. Now, is the same state as at that time at all. People are about 30 minutes. Had been away from this room. In the meantime, I happen to be exactly the impossible. where in the doorway with no room also in. I corpse of Edogawa is no longer disappear. Sunikawa's, for you were nasu, relation to this incident. It that day was the first. Yes. From that day you are entered only in the devil. In just 10 days or so from there. Kokugi-kan of the fighting scene. The balloon man violent death. Killing Saito old man. And running away from home of Hatake Inagi wife. The incident was rapidly developing. What's more, it is. None of this is also not even quirky 10 million precedent. Or was enigmatic mad. Just strange events. Quote, the inspector like a shy hen, said in desperate tone. In, Saito old man who is, after walked out of this room, until the people of you police are coming. Between about 30 minutes, whatever it is or happened, it in your eye to the future demonstration multiplying is a translation. Quote, Akechi proceed with the note verbal not matter. But, to say that the show and demonstration, here an Akechi of note verbal relates to, on the outside of two people of onlookers. I just raw doll is lying. I who that, as to demonstrate on earth, Hansus is a feeling that was like a pinch to the fox. In the room go dark moment to moment. Stared enough eyes hurt. Sound ticking the tick-tick. Seconds of the pocket watches. The extent to get to loudly ear. But tranquility. Sunikawa said, suddenly, somewhere in the room, feel the sign of wriggling of things was scaring. Itaida, but people sure. Whole body of black, dwarf like a deformity of the monster. Come down transmitted to the wall of Sorori's Aurora beyond. Dwarf. From the beginning, until the limbs of earlier. I hid covered with a black costume. Ugly monster. Like a black spider. From the ceiling. I come down transmitted to the wall, and elaborated the eyes, and see his down came a point. One of the corners of the coffered ceiling is gaping become a black hole. Still dripping is one of Hozabiki from there. Dwarf like a monster. Down blurred in the Hozabiki, and the Buddha of the shoulder to the scaffold. To Takumi, the sound is also not standing. Landed on the floor. Leave your eyes only, through the face. Because it wrapped in black cloth. Who both decision is unexpected stick. Of course. But there is no difference in one of the so-called actors of the Akechi. In the dim room, to the front of the mysterious Buddha both. A black dwarf is. And see that came down from the ceiling like a spider. Without the creeps that was not entered. Who is that guy? Sunikawa said ask involuntarily to Akechi of the next seat. Sit quietly. Whether the guy is what you better look? It is ceased to Akechi. Sunikawa drunk the katazu. Matani also, and nailed an eye on the small monster. Are eager to see the sights. They were two great children of Miro a rare seems to magic tricks. Dwarf is, on top of the straw fallen doll, is squatted down. Whether or not the doll is dead really, as Shermel thing, but was looking for a while how. And no and finally breath extinct. He Takumi too, kind of gesture I show to. Suddenly suffer from a straw doll under his arm. Even without making the footsteps a little closer to the inlet. When you open the door out the duplicate key of the prepared from the pocket. The appearance as it is to the corridor turned off. Now that guy of you put after. He is where to go. Eyewitness. Akechi is to say in a low voice. Standing ahead, start running to the corridor. 2 of sightseeing is, but unexpected reason is unknown. Rabbit also keep up the corner. After the Akechi, black dwarf is a body which is not known also to be shadowed. Walk soons in the corridor. What is strange is, he is also in a hurry how much. But it unexpected hear footsteps even a little. Will the wearing even socks of rubber. Such as Shedu Suzumi. The corridor of the evening dark. Small black monster. The straw doll under his arm. Sound flight also going to slip rather than the say downright unexpected strange lever. It was a tremendous feeling. Where the run out of the corridor. There is the narrow back stairs. Small devil. Into the hole of the stairs. Disappear as slipped. Down the stairs. A narrow hallway. Toward the back door. and a little go, there is a storeroom room. Dwarf. Open the sliding door and along. I went sneaking to the storeroom. At the beginning of the akechi, followed by even 3 people, go into the small room. Along the entrance of the transverse wall, he stood, since the sliding door was left open on purpose, but therefrom plugging the evening of thin light in small quantity, is in the storeroom. It is to distinguish the appearance of the people, is barely. Oh, this storeroom, readers will be not store. A few days earlier, the old well that Shizuko and Shigeru boy was hiding in. It is in the floor of the storeroom room. That know the old well. Youth Matani that harbored that time Shizuko is here. I wonder have any feeling now. This horrible amateur detective, you know that the old well. So, he and the other, even Shizuko are whereabouts, or mither than being long ago Kansui. Matani is, from the front again, as though unexpected endure anxiety, began to fidget is that there is no truly impossible. It is still likely. Small monster, in beside a straw at all, and began turning the floorboards of example, and panes, and create a hole of about it between the 4-way, is now down to the floor. Mononoke oysters old bales, the lid of the old well paving stones, began to drag on a kuchoko, or he will be estimates that fall into the well, or, in this well, I wonder if there is more another errand. Dwarf is, at long last, was set aside 5 pieces of heavy paving stones. Under the paving stones, the mouth of the well, are laid thick logs as too. He also it was removed. From the time the monster began to move the paving stones, sobbed convulsively, such as a kind strange odor began to drift into the room. Breast is queasy, but the smell of kanzenpai like corruption. Sunikawa said immediately like it is realized how many of smell was shot in great surprise. Oh, I can do that, if Wakashi Kazur, that I do my then played a large blunders there, unaware that there is an old well in a place like this. Be what is in it. I did not know like it is given, even for the name of the demon detective. I wonder not a big blunder which is not irreversible. Quote, when I think, it is unexpected his stomach sit still anymore. He started ringing now grabbed the arm of Akechi. You, in that hole, but what the heck is the smell is what? You will know it. Saw, to make me say, there is what is really. Sit. Akechi is paying calm, for a finger to his lips. Do not disturb the order of your play. A little more please be patient. 3 within 10 minutes. All the secret is, do you exposure completely? The inspector still, but tried to insist that examine the inside of the well. Just at that time, Black Monster of example, in order to make a strange gesture, and Toramegire to it, had in Sugan the attached mouth. Paving stones were completely set aside dwarf. It was in on the floor, and down dragged the straw doll. Hadden suddenly threw it into the well. Then it laid restore the 2 logs lined led the Kodawara above. Actually, that stone also it does not have to be restored. In order to save time, I only had short stone. Akechi will be explained in a low voice. Small monster, rising to the top, and fitting the floor, and do not oversight, on the Mimawashi the purr. Also in how to walk, not making a sound even a little. Turn back to the 2nd floor of the study. The sightseeing, who has followed the rest is, needless to say, the back was a monster in the study. Sightseeing we are, waiting to enter the room, and put the key in the door. The side from carefully Mimawashi, also a Buddha statue to the scaffold, and transmitted the Hozabiki, like a spider. I went up danced to Suru and ceiling, and to his disappeared after a plate of coffered ceiling is, as before, was fitted and perfect. This is the end of the first act. While good, Akechi pushed the wall of the switch. Package and the room is bright. The end of the first act? And I wonder if there is still a second act. In this way, you corpse of Shoichi Edogawa is a lost that black eye. But this only to after you finish the work. Mr. Sunikawa, your how police line. is the order that came to here. Then, the dagger that defeated the brook. Sunikawa, Mr. Impatient, asked. Dagger is the earlier of the dwarf threw from the ceiling. I know that, but the dagger was gone. Why disappear? Because we were back to the ceiling. That is to that heavy dagger. It was with a strong silk string. Guys, not the thought, in order not to leave Kyoki at the scene. From the ceiling, and threw it, after you killed your opponent. In this string, I'm a gimmick to increase hauling a dagger. In a closed room, and criminal also Kyoki also not say that murder. But you heard the truly bizarre 10 million. Is what Songai disappointing if you look at by dividing the seeds. You see, I see. Single item of the corpse lost became clear with this. However, there are more mountains that witches not yet know. In criminal is a Nochiboki black guy is who on earth? Inspector, but the second question, what that black mask places? Everyone fell short thought, is really amazing person. I in with a couple of days ago. I found it, because it is very surprising person. Think a little really is enough. There was no in clogging Sunikawa, Mr. Frustrating up. I am, so you say that it is the real culprit of this time of the incident. The real culprit is likely, in a sense, Akechi is negotiate the words. Before him is, to tell you how many people. There is a thing to show you yet. Now, I second act first of tonight you play begins. If, say dudes again note verbal. What is the second act first? Well, now followed, but there's yet. Yeah, and this time of the demonstration what? You want to show you to you. A very important scene. Ho, it is. The inspector, as suggestive of amateur detective, was not a little fed up. To is to know the truth of things. You're Shibaiji for some time Akechi. There was no outside to be forgiveness. In turn, now of events. That is, from when there is Shoichi Edogawa corpse lost the case. It is the translation applied to your eyes happened was happening within a couple of days. It is indeed bizarre 10 million murders. But, this is exactly the events of Shade. Even in the police, even the people of the field Yanagia, is a crime that did not know though. Quote, is apart from the case of Saito old man. Inspector shouted surprised. It is separately, an Edogawa of the incident. Between Saito of the incident, no one knows another murder is. Moreover I was done in this room. This introductory remarks was a great success in shore. Sightseeing we are excited to no small extent. The raising of the curtain of the second act first was waiting and now too late. Also for a while, to turn off the electric lamp. Before that, but leave the refuse. Now in this room, truly bizarre murder is, but will be played vividly. It is not just a course you play, even after whatever horrible thing. Thank you never so as not to be relied to lead out and mess around. So, quote, when the introductory remarks is finished, it snaps an electric lamp became dark disappeared. Outside the window, it has been completely late already. The beautiful star Matatai is so Karaku. If your play is not palm seen, within the suspect, on the walls of the gaping and beyond, appeared a large halo. Eerie Buddha we were up float like a picture of the slide projector. Akechi is, imperceptibly, and offers a flashlight. The round light was throwing on the wall of the front. Halo is, slowly, past the Buddha group, perched in front of the wall of the outside. The entrance of the door. Looking, in the light, pull the door is traveling around the Sorori. Someone, it has been trying to open the door from the outside. When the rotation of the pull tab stops, the door itself, one by one minute, extremely cautious, began to open. Black dwarf is, he should still in the ceiling. He is not. When, now, in the alertness of the more horrible, the guy opened the door. The first place would be what's. Even Sunikawa inspector was said to demons. And the curiosity welling occurred, was enough to for anything dumb fear. Come and breathing bounce. an inch, 2 suns, 1 feet, 2 feet, and finally the door is completely open. Outside of Bai, he was in possession of a duplicate key, with a flashlight, to expand the palpitations of Akechi. Halo's walls are shaking the bulbul rhythmic into the swaying light. From the outside of the corridor, I came in with the smooth stop. Strange person, looking at it, too, of sightseeing. Despite there was a note in advance, Akechi did not stomach not make a small cry and thinking, up. That person, black soft hat, black cloak, on a large colored glasses, wearing a mask, examples and mysterious thief with no lips, because was the entirety of disguise. Phantom was, through the halo, advances and scorching, as the advance, flashlight of Akechi also, just the spotlight, so as to follow the stage of acting, go crawling the walls along with the person. I felt to see the movie of movement shooting, monster of the eye, while walking, the coffered ceiling. In one scene that dwarf has hidden example, has been nailed, the passage to that strange attic. But how to know properly? Before long, when it reaches the wall in the middle of the front, standing blind in front of the integral of the Buddha-seated figure. Still eye length only remains were staring at the coffered ceiling. Had it squatted down to there? Will that trying to do together? And, in like manner it was also in the signal, and hit the point of the ceiling of example. And I think it has the lower end and the strange sound. Turn off the back and the wind, like a silvery white stick, aiming at monster crouched was hurled as, but that horrible western dagger. Oh, the second of murder. That's it, and in the time I thought. Phantom of the Mask was like a fan only as Karu Wazashi. Not only by the trajectory of the dagger, its slight lightning in the eye, repellent wire, had torn off by grabbing a string of quick dagger. Cash. Strange screams that, followed by footsteps running in the rumble ceiling. Dwarf that has been deprived of weapons. Screamed. He ran away. Mask of a person. A small table that was in the middle of the room. Go dragged to the bottom of the ceiling of the hole. Stacked bipod a chair on it. Make a scaffold. At a very nimble of climbing it, it jumped to the frame of the coffered ceiling. Meanwhile, flashlight spotlight, step-by-step performance of the actor. It has moved is needless to say. For a while, in its halo, but Phantom of the Foot had been struggling noisily. Eventually, it also disappeared into the ceiling of the hole. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.